History doesn't lie. Every major empire that lost control of its money eventually collapsed, and the pattern is repeating today. In 268 AD, Rome's denarius went from nearly pure silver to almost worthless in just decades, and soldiers refused to be paid. In 1923, Germany's Reichsmark required 4.2 trillion marks to buy $1. In 1946, Hungary printed a 100 quintillion pengo note, the highest denomination ever. Zimbabwe hit 89.7 sextillion% inflation in 2008. Venezuela lost 99.9% of its bolívar value in a single year. This isn't conspiracy. It's documented history, and the same mechanics are happening now, digitally. The debasement mechanism, every collapse starts the same way. Not with invasion, not with revolution, but with debasement, reducing money's intrinsic value while keeping its face value. Rome is the perfect example. In 64 AD under Nero, a denarius weighed 3.9 grams of pure silver. By 211 AD under Caracalla, it was 50% silver. By 270 AD under Aurelian, less than 5%. Over 2 centuries, coin value collapsed while production soared. Between 250 and 280 AD, Rome minted more coins than the previous 200 years combined. Prices in Egypt multiplied 10 times between 200 and 275 AD. Soldiers were underpaid. Merchants refused coins, and trade networks collapsed. The lesson is simple. More money does not equal more value. More money with less backing destroys trust. The trust transfer: when money fails, power moves to those who control alternatives. In Rome, local commanders and strongmen replaced central authority because they could guarantee payment in goods, land, or foreign currency. Modern parallel. In 1971, Nixon removed the dollar's gold backing. Suddenly, dollars were pure trust. Since then, the US dollar has lost 87% of its purchasing power. $1 in 1971 now costs $7.67 in 2025. The shift from physical constraints to purely trust-based money makes the system infinitely elastic until trust breaks. The velocity problem: debased money circulates faster. When people expect money to lose value, they spend it immediately, accelerating inflation in a feedback loop. In Germany's Weimar Republic, from January 1922 to November 1923, the money supply rose by 1.32 trillion%, but prices rose even faster. On November 1, 1923, a loaf of bread cost 3 billion marks. 2 weeks later, it cost 80 billion marks. Workers demanded daily or twice-daily payment, and stores updated prices hourly. Printing presses ran 24/7, yet they couldn't keep up. Rome experienced the same behavior. Coin hoards show rapid accumulation and spending rather than saving. Once confidence is gone, velocity feeds itself. Digital amplification, physical money imposed natural limits. Minting coins, printing notes, transporting cash all slowed collapse. Digital money has no limits. In 2020, the Fed expanded its balance sheet from $4.2 trillion to $7.4 trillion in 9 months. More money was created digitally in 40 weeks than existed in the system 12 years earlier. Europe, Japan, China's central banks followed. Global balance sheets grew by roughly $9 trillion in 2020 alone. This isn't temporary, it's now structural. Emergency policies like zero interest rates and quantitative easing became permanent, creating dependency that cannot be reversed without risk of collapse. Control response: when money destabilizes, authorities react the same way. Not reform, but control. Rome's Diocletian issued the edict on maximum prices in 301 AD. Over 1,000 goods had price caps. Violate them, and it was death. The result: black markets halted production, accelerated decline. Venezuela did the same in 2016 to 2019 with price controls. Store shelves emptied, production stopped. Official inflation stats became meaningless. Now, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, take control further. China's digital yuan expires if unused. Europe's digital euro can restrict transactions by type or location. Money becomes programmable, traceable, and surveilled. Your account isn't just a claim on a bank it's a direct liability of the central bank. The collapse signature. Monetary collapse follows the same four-stage pattern. 1. Denial. Authorities claim inflation is temporary. Rome continued minting while debasing coins. Weimar blamed foreign speculation. Zimbabwe blamed sanctions. 2. Repricing assets shift from currency to alternatives. In Rome, land values soared 400 to 600%, while coins lost 90% of silver content. In Weimar, real estate jumped 1,500%. Today, gold and Bitcoin reflect the same flight. 3. Fragmentation. Alternative currencies emerge. Rome's Gallic Empire issued coins, local tokens circulated. Today, BRICS nations settle trade in local currencies. Dollar dominance is declining. 4. Control authorities implement programmable money, surveillance, and limits to maintain the system. Current application. Right now, these patterns are happening globally. Government debt exceeds $313 trillion. 349% of global GDP. Developed economies' central bank balance sheets total $30 trillion, tripled 2008 levels. Inflation is moderate, but core prices remain 23% higher than 2020. Repricing is visible. Bitcoin exceeds $2 trillion market cap. Gold hit $2,700. Oz. Real estate in major cities rose 30 to 50% since 2020. Fragmentation is emerging. BRICS countries trade in local currencies. First oil transaction in yuan completed 2023. CBDCs are already in action. Over 130 countries are exploring or piloting them. China processed 250 billion yuan digitally in early pilots. This is not speculation, it's operational infrastructure. Personal impact. Here's the reality for you. Your savings lose purchasing power. At 3% annual inflation, you lose 26% over 10 years. At 5%, you lose 40%. Debt can become advantageous, savings foolish. Between 2020 to 2022, borrowers paid negative real interest while savers lost. Privacy decreases. CBDCs remove the private banking layer. Every transaction becomes visible to central authorities. Economic options shrink. Money can expire, be restricted by category, or limited geographically. This is already technically possible. History has repeated this pattern at least 12 times. Rome, Byzantine, Spanish real, French assignat, Continental dollar, Weimar mark. Hungarian pengo, Chinese yuan 1948, Brazilian cruzeiro, Argentine peso, Zimbabwean dollar, Venezuelan bolivar. Each followed the same sequence. Debasement gives denial, gives repricing, gives fragmentation, gives collapse or reset. This is happening now. Your understanding is your advantage. Systems in transition create winners and losers. Those who see the shift first win. They won't teach this in school. They'll teach money is stable, inflation is managed, and central banks protect purchasing power. History says otherwise. Every empire believes its money is different, until it isn't. Subscribe if you want to see how the system is actually working, how to position yourself before the next phase hits.